Hey guys, what is up? My name is Morgan Peden from Peden's Personal Fitness, and I'm here to talk to you today about Hal Higdon's Novice 1 training plan for running your first marathon, and how my first marathon went, and some tips for kind of your training and getting ready for it, and then things to do afterwards to aid the symptoms that you're going to have from running 26.2 miles. So, I started out with Hal Higdon's Novice 1 training plan. It's online, right here if you can see it. It's a pretty good plan. I followed it very to the T up until week 8. Week 8, I injured myself. I ran too much, too hard, something like that, and I ended up having to take a break from this plan. The miles he has totaled out was too much for me, the Novice 1, and I'm an endurance runner. But I just could not keep up with it. So I talked to some other marathon runners and kind of got some advice and looked online, and I kind of took the perspective that it's better to undertrain and to be able to complete the marathon than be overtrained during your training and then hurt yourself and not be able to run it at all. So I kind of went with that approach and continued cross training a lot and doing other cardio and doing body weights and stretching and yoga and stuff like that. But the training plan is pretty good. Long runs are really good. You need to rest, obviously. Let's see what else he's got here. He says strength training. My thing for strength training during running a marathon, so when I did my first half marathon, I strength trained a lot and it was okay and my body could handle it. But with a marathon, it just could not handle it at all, because you're already like hurting yourself running so long and so far, and it's hurting your body in a different way, and my body could not handle each one. So for you, it all depends on how you are, and you might be able to handle strength training. Like light body weights is what I suggest. Light body weights, things like that, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. But it's kind of a one or the other if you're marathon training. So I agree with him on that. Yeah, so I followed this pretty well. It is a good one to go by. It might be too much for some people, so if it is too much for you, just slow down and don't do it. I suggest the Super Novice, I think, is the one before the step before this one, and for somebody who really needs a long training. But my tips for you is, first, you need to find your marathon pace. Obviously, if you've never run a marathon, you don't know what it is. Shoot for it being like 2 to 3 minutes over your target, your regular pace. That's what I suggest. I ran a 11-minute miles, my marathon pace. You want to roll it slow, and you want to be able to talk comfortably while you're running. You want to be able to speak with somebody and be able to hold a conversation without being like exhausted. So you got to find that pace, and it's really hard to find it, but once you find it and you get in that groove, like, you'll figure it out, and then you are golden. You need to eat the right foods, because running a half marathon, you can run a lot and pretty much not have to worry about your nutrition and eating a lot, to aid that, because it's just you're training for a half. But training for a full marathon, you have to watch what you eat. You have to eat more, and you have to eat, cleaner foods. Like, you really can't just do it and eat terrible foods and be okay with it. You really have to eat the right foods and things to keep track of. So definitely need to focus on that. If you do, or if you are hurting and you feel like you're like stressing yourself out, like you're running these distances on these plans and it's not working for you, it is okay to stop. Like, you can stop and you can cross train in different ways and still get exercise in and like help train yourself. But when it comes to the long runs, my personal opinion is, if you can run to 18 miles, you can run to 26.2 miles. I say 18 miles was the longest run I needed. Now, the training plans, most of them are going to take you up to 20, and then you should be able to run the 6.2 afterwards, which is also good. But for me, I say if you can run 18, you can run the 26.2. So if that's how your long runs have to be, then there you go. When you're picking a race that you're going to sign up for, pick it in the same terrain as where you're training. Obviously, if you're training in the flat grounds, you don't want to go to the mountains and run a marathon, because that would really mess you up. So you want to like pick somewhere in the same type of place, And the run-walk technique. So slow and steady wins the race, right? It's very true. The run-walk technique for me was I found my marathon pace, which took me a couple miles to get to it, but I reached my 11-minute mile pace. And my technique was every mile you run, so you run your first mile, you take a 30 to 60 step walk break, 30 to 60 steps. I did never no more than 60, but you take every mile. So when your thing goes up and says you run a mile, then you take 30 to 60 steps. Then you start running again, and then you run that same consecutive pace. And then once you hit that next mile, 30 to 60 steps. It's totally up to you. But doing that will keep your marathon pace and like your pace overall very just even. That's how you keep a consecutive pace. It was for me at least. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you guys like and subscribe and enjoy. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'd love to answer because I love talking about, training. So thank you very much. Have a good one.